How's everybody going? How's it going? How's everybody doing? Getting off the start. So last time I was painting my Immortan Joe mask here. I didn't sculpt this. I got this from a guy in Austria, Deadbeard Props. Check out his stuff. He's on Facebook. So I am painting this guy up, finishing him up. So last time I got some base coats on. I did the metal base coat, and now I'm working on the bone. I got it all taped off. So I'm going to continue from where I left off. Let's see. Alright, I already got some people in. Right on. So, since last time, I've also made a few changes. So now I have this cool little armature thing right here, a gooseneck thing that holds in my camera, and I can adjust it. I can bring it closer, can bend it around, can really get up in the work. So now I have a cool angle to be able to show my work. So hopefully this works a lot better. So we'll give that a try today. Go ahead and jump in the chat if you guys have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. Or if you just want to ask about this prop here at all, any paints, anything. I'm going to be doing some airbrushing today. So getting my airbrush all hooked up. So last time I had some technical difficulties with the airbrush because I didn't realize there was some paint left in there from projects long ago. So I cleaned that guy out. Finally, I had to dismantle everything and get that guy fixed. So he's working a little better now. Also got some more fitting and cleaning alcohol solution for the paints. So we got 91% alcohol. This is good for cleaning paint out, and then I've got 70%, which is good for thinning different paints. So this is with acrylic paints. Some paints don't like it, so test your paint before you put it in your airbrush with mixing it with alcohol, because they will gum up and turn all like chunky. So test that first. Don't just start pouring alcohol in there. So let's see. What's that smell? Thank you, Chen Beard. I already got our first question. What's that smell? Pretty sure that's a Cards Against Humanity card. Thank you for your input.
Hey, you know, trying to keep things lively.
Oh yeah.
Figure I would be the first. Everyone was shy, and I could be the first one to.
There you go. Break the ice. All right. Another change I've made is on my channel page. Beneath that, I've added links to all my social media, to include my Patreon. So if you want to see more live streams, help me get some better quality gear for doing this live stream, and eventually a better computer so I can have more going on and hopefully not crash this, go ahead and throw me a couple bucks there, or even just spread the word. Any little bit helps. Greatly appreciated. And it all goes into the content of doing the show and the tips and tutorials that I write up. Osiris Preps chips in. They think that was a good question. What's that smell? Well, I did just eat Wendy's, so maybe that's the smell. Sorry. Alright. So, let's see. Get started here. I just used this Vallejo Game Air. First, I can make sure I'm actually in camera. Vallejo Game Air. Vallejo is an Italian-based company that makes these great acrylic paints, and this is their vibrant airbrush line. This is bone white, but I use that to start basing this guy. And he's got this area in here is a lot darker, and then it gets a little lighter where the teeth are at. So for the teeth, I'm going to lighten them up with a little bit of the yellowish, because they're pretty nasty teeth. So I've got the white and yellow over there, and then I need to darken the bone. So I'm going to add, let's see, I've got some browns. It's a wash. That is metallic, yellow, some sand yellow. Okay. So I'm going to add a little bit of brown in there, hopefully darken that area up. Alright. Now I just mix right in this little cup here. using such a small amount, there's no point in mixing it anywhere else. So, that brown. Actually, this is pretty nasty, dirty looking, grody brown, so I might add a drop of this jungle moss. Reaper's line. Reaper miniatures. Does some pretty good paints as well. It's pretty thick. How about that? Haven't used these Reaper paints in quite a while, so they might have started to get a little too thick. I don't think Tamiya smells bad. I think the lacquer buffable paints smell horrible, though. I wouldn't use acetone. Acetone's great to clean paint off stuff as long as it's not plastic, because it will also eat plastic. I think I might have mentioned acetone last time, but I totally spaced out. Really, there's little rubber gaskets in these, and the acetone's going to eat that. Lacquer thinner is what you want to use. So do as I say, not as I do. So use a lacquer thinner to clean these guys out. Don't use acetone because it will eat the gaskets inside these little guys. Little rubber gasket in here around the air seal. So lacquer thinner or the 91% isopropyl alcohol. This stuff here. Use that to clean out your airbrushes. Hey, everybody coming into the chat. How you doing? I am not cosplaying Immortan Joe. This is for somebody else. So I don't know if they're going to cosplay it. I think this is just a display piece for like a bookshelf or something. So regardless, it is an awesome mask, and I am looking forward to painting up. Ooh, that is pretty thick and nasty. All right. Let me get some mixing sticks here. Pretty high-tech and fancy. My mixing sticks are just broken popsicle sticks. Boom. Done. Probably should grab some toothpicks. Okay. Grab an airbrush. Put a tiny bit of this nasty green in there. Give it kind of a really dirty, mucky look. Alright. Oops, that's the wrong bit. And to mix it, you can just put your finger over the tip here, and then first turn on your compressor. It's a little thick. Alright, so add some of this 70%. Nope, and it's brand new. I gotta pop this guy in again. I am going to PAX Prime. Somebody in chat is asking which con I'm going to. Usually go to Dragon Con, but not making it this year. So, but I am going to be at PAX Prime here in Seattle. And the plan is, the hope is, I'm going to have a Destiny Titan for that. I'm going to get started on that guy soon. Gonna be doing that guy out of EVA foam. Oh, I guess it wasn't asking me which con I'm going to. Maybe I should pay more attention to the chat. Alright. Still not as dark as I'd like it to be. Add a little bit more of this brown. That'll work. This guy's still having issues. This paint might be a little thick. And some issues with the paint here.
What's going on?
I'm trying to mix paints and it's not one to I think this airbrush might be crapping out on me finally. It was a cheap starter airbrush. Yeah,
Frank had one that has a trigger on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get one of those.
Is that water, right?
Yeah, I just like my finger cramps doing the whole like
Yeah.
like push down, pull back thing.
Yeah.
And this was just the trigger.
All I can see is a finger in my face.
Just this.
This is Bill Duran of Punished Props. If you
Right,
can't
hello
see.
there. So I'm gonna have to buy one.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where people ask me, "Hey, what's the best airbrush?" I'm like, "It doesn't matter. You're gonna end up with 50 of them anyway."
Yeah. If you guys are interested in getting started in airbrushing, on my FAQ on my website, I list the same airbrush model I have, this setup. It's great for getting started. It's got 3 airbrushes, comes with a compressor and a hose, and a little pamphlet talking about how to get into airbrushing. It's good to kind of get your foot in the door and learn the ropes and kind of see the different types of airbrushes before you actually buy a really good, high quality airbrush. So I recommend just kind of going with that. For a little under $100, you get 3 airbrushes and a compressor. It's a great deal. Check it out. The most important part is keeping your airbrushes clean, which I've been pretty bad at. This guy. Still think I could go a little bit darker on this. We'll do a couple passes. Let's see. I think I'm going to switch over to my other airbrush and see how that kind of works. Grab some lacquer thinner. I will be right back. Alright, I'm going to be trying out this airbrush here. So this guy, unlike the gravity-fed one over here, uses this little jar right here, which I think this might be. Is this the right? Yeah, that'll work. Alright, so it uses that jar right there. So this little guy fits in there. So it can hold more paint, which is really nice. So I just got to clean this guy out first. And a little bit of lacquer in there before. More technical difficulties. This guy's not one to take. God, you gotta be kidding me. Alright, another airbrush. Not wanting to work. Let's see. We gotta step forward a little bit there. Alright. Clean this guy out. Oh, this is clean. A little bit of needle there. So the most important part is the needle, making sure that's clear. It looks like he's still got a little bit of stuff in there. I think next I will make the big purchase for a really nice quality airbrush. So probably go for eye water or something. Oh, of course. Doesn't matter if I'm using airbrush. So Mr. Badvick is glad I'm not the only one that tests airbrush on his hand. It doesn't matter if it's an airbrush or if I'm using paints, I'm constantly testing on my hand. You can tell I've been painting because this hand is clean and this hand is just covered in paint. The mask, yeah, the mask was sculpted out of clay and then cast out of polyurethane resin. Smooth-on brand polyurethane resin, so I believe it was one of those smooth cast ones. Oh, crap. Didn't want that to happen. Broke my airbrush. I didn't break it, but this is going to be a pain to fix. Okay. So there's this little valve right here. And that guy goes in there. So, pull this back. Ugh. A lot of tiny little pieces in these guys. If you're not careful, it will come apart on you. But I have accidentally done this so many times, I've gotten pretty good at putting this back together. So this guy I haven't done it with. close. Put the needle back in. So the needle actually holds this button and pushes down. So there's a little hole inside there, and that's what keeps on it so it doesn't pull out. So you've got to be careful to put your finger on this. And it's when you pull the needle out, or else this little guy pops up, and then you got to fit him back in the valve. This one's not as hard to do as this guy because it's got a little swivel piece on it, so you have to make sure that it goes in straight. Quite a pain in the butt. Alright, let's make sure this little guy's clean. Yeah, you can see in there there's a little rubber gasket around there, and that's why you don't want to use acetone, because acetone will eat those guys. So just a quick little cleaning here. Yeah, that's pretty clean. Double check, take this little guy, get some lacquer thinner on there. It's going from a painting stream to an airbrush maintenance stream. Caring for your airbrush with WM Armory. But hey, that's good knowledge to have too. Alright. Let's get on with the show here. Okay. I'm not sure why, but this guy just doesn't want to put paint out. Huh. Alright, well, I've got other paint airbrushes. We'll go with this guy. This guy has never failed me. I say that now. Alright, so like the other one, this guy also uses those jars, so let me get one that's cleaned out. Got a huge box over here. Boom, there we go. Let's got this guy. We're going to do darker now, so I'm going to do a couple drops of brown. It's pretty thick. This is the Vallejo. This isn't the airbrush one, so I don't have to thin this. I do actually have, I haven't tried this yet, some Vallejo airbrush thinner. So, a couple drops of that. And, let's see. Get kind of a nasty color here, because it's kind of a grody, grimy color. So, a couple drops of this nasty green here. And then, let's see, this brown here. These are all acrylics, so they should mix just fine. It's pretty dark. Yeah, I like that. Let's use some of this Tamiya brown. Ooh, right down that. So the one nice thing about airbrushing is you can really mix and match colors and still get kind of an aerosol spray can. Nice even coat this finish. Whereas if you try to go just for straight up aerosol cans, it's really hard to try to match colors. So sometimes you can find nice, like Montana is a nice brand of art aerosols. They have a large line, but again, the aerosol cans, and you really can't mix, so you're kind of stuck with whatever color you get. But with airbrushing, you can get any color or finish under the sun. Let's try going with that. And just a little bit of the 70%. Not putting lacquer there in there. Alright, cap this guy off. Cap off the black. Alright, and airbrush. There we go. And let me throw my jar of paint around. There we go. This guy you adjust right here. The amount of paint. Oh, there we go. Cool. What is going on with this thing? I'm wondering if the problem is these jars. They're supposed to be the same manufacturer, but maybe these jars, the tubes are not working properly. Let's see. Because I clean these guys out regularly. Alright. These are brand new jars. Well, if all else fails, I'll just deal with the other airbrush and its wonky little button. The Tamai weathering pigments. Actually, yeah, I have tried those. So, Mr. Badmeg is asking about the Tamai weathering pigments. I love these guys. These guys are really cool, and I'll probably be using them on the mask here. I've got the B set, which comes with white, black, and brown. But they're really cool for metal, or kind of a really nice, subtle weathering. It's kind of an additive process. It's very subtle. You got to do it over and over, or add more layers. But it comes out with a really nice finish. So I really like like that. Okay. This guy loose. See what's going on here. Doesn't seem to be any gunk in there. I really do apologize about these damn airbrushes. What's going on here? Alcohol in there. Yep, liquid's coming up just fine. Let's see. Make sure it's not this guy. No, okay, that's fine. Pop this back on. This goes in there. Okay, slides back on, so that doesn't come out. There's this little piece that goes on right inside there. Yep. Cool. All right. Cool, that's working. Paint's coming out. There. Alright, let's add maybe a little more paint. Maybe it's too low. You know, I did only put a tiny amount in there. Alright, so let's use this. I think I see where the problem's at. It actually looks like my air compressor. Ah! So it's not the airbrushes, guys. The air compressor is actually dropping off and won't go up any higher. Wow. That's nice to know. Huh. Well, luckily, we have more air compressors. And this whole time, I thought it was my airbrushes. Well, I guess I know what I'm getting next. Or returning. Alright, let's try this again. Boom! We have pressure. Okay. There we go. Get the show on the road again. So the problem is my air compressor wasn't putting out enough pressure, and because of that, it wasn't creating enough suction for these guys to pull the paint out of the jars. So, putting a little more paint in here, and I'm going to try this again, and hopefully now that I have a different air compressor that has more pressure, it should fix the situation. Alright. Got some bad puns going on in the chat here. Well played, sir. Well played. Alright. So, if I'm right, and it was just the crappy air pressure, this should work just fine now. Oh, look at that. It was the air pressure. Alright, sweet. And now my hand is paint all over it. But that's what the professionals do. They paint all over their hands. So in this guy adjusts with this little nozzle right here. So we're going to turn that down just a little bit. There we go. Ooh. Go a little more. There we go. Not all too concerned if this is even or not. It's supposed to look pretty weathered. These are just base coats. Come back over and lighten up the teeth. This is commission. So this is for girlfriend's sister's boyfriend. It's more complicated than it needs to be. Okay. So now, because I know it was just the air pressure, I'm going to try this guy again and see how he does. So we got a new person in the chat asking what I'm making. I'm making an Immortan Joe mask. I did not make the sculpt. I'm just doing the paint job right now, so that's what I'm working on. Get some more light over here. Okay. Let's get some more of these bottles so I can mix some paints up. Do some washes. Let's get some nasty, grody teeth on here. It's nice and yellowish. It's pretty bright yellow, so I'm going to add just a tiny, tiny little drop of this. Very vibrant. And I just want a hue of yellow. So just going to mix a little bit in there. Don't want it to be too overwhelming. There we go. This guy on here. Thanks, VexFX. You can see this airbrush is a lot more detailed. Really control a lot more. Another reason why you would have multiple airbrushes. go back to the bone color. I really like that. Ugh. Throwing crap everywhere. That was some stupid stuff I drew when I was 19 and got tattooed without putting any thought into it. People asking about my tattoos in chats. The goal is to get the ones I made stupid choices about removed, and then get my I get some nicer tattoos. So like this one, I actually like a lot more. I'm gonna kind of do more stuff like that, more artistic stuff. So I would like to eventually get some sleeves after getting some stuff removed, get some cover-ups. So that's the goal. I'll go to my reference images here again. Man, those teeth are pretty yellow and dirty. Let's get a lot of yellow on that. I'm gonna put some a lot more rubbing alcohol because I really want to thin this guy out. So these droppers here. There's more to be like a wash. Nice grimy, nasty yellow. Probably get some stuff that I've been more influenced by, like artists or just things that I think are cool looking. I've always been a pretty big, huge fan of like H.R. Geiger and his style of work, the kind of industrial, biomechanical looking stuff. So I might get something inspired by him. MC Escher is another artist that has always inspired and influenced me a lot. I've always loved his stuff. And then and then also Vincent van Gogh, maybe a little throw like something together to kind of incorporate all their styles and get a sleeve that way. Another thing that I've thought of getting is a huge octopus tattoo. I love octopus. I think they're the coolest looking things. So some kind of cool, very artistic, abstract looking octopus. Little H.P. Lovecraft, Cthulhu going on maybe. It's another influence of mine. So do something kind of like that on the other arm. No words. I've gotten words before and no. So I'm going to stay away from that and just do very kind of abstract, artistic stuff from now on. So something that I can also help cover up some of these old tattoos. So, alright, let's get into making these teeth nasty and yellow. There we go. Starting to get a little nastier and yellower. When I'm done, I'll do a wash over this, get into the recesses. So I've got a friend who is a phenomenal tattoo artist. She does really incredible work, both original and other people's ideas she's done. And it's she lives in Canada though, so I'm gonna have to make a trip. But looking at her style, I definitely think she could kind of help me take my ideas and make them happen. So that's probably what's going to happen, but that's a bit of a ways down the road. So. Alright, pretty nasty and yellowish. Alright, look at my reference again. Highlight this, and I'll go over with a darker wash again. Gunk it up. Bring out the high points a little more. any suggestions for airbrushes? Like what kind of airbrushes to get? So, question in the chat is, do we have any suggestion for airbrushes? I like having a simple one. This is a single action. You push the button, it goes, you can control a little bit of the paint flow through this nozzle here. Those are nice to have just if you have a lot of one color that you want to put down. And then it's nice to have kind of a detailed brush, one that can do just tiny little things, very subtle, a double action. So that way you can get in small areas. Like this one is pretty good at getting nice detail. This gravity fed one, these are both double action, which means you push down and then you pull back for how much paint you want out. The other one you just push down. So there's no really adjusting the amount of force or paint coming out. And then I'd suggest having a couple of these is nice. The kit that I have linked up is this exact set. And it's pretty nice because you can have these two and you can have different colors hooked up, and that way you don't have to constantly stop and clean out your airbrush for the next color. So it's nice to have a few different airbrushes that you can just switch back and forth. So if you mess up, like, oh, I need to go back to that color. So instead of having to clean everything out to put the last color back in or put another coat in, if you're going to go back and forth, it's nice to have several airbrushes. But just go with something simple and cheap first. Like this set with the air compressor and the airbrushes is like $97. And it comes with a couple of these little jars that you can put paint in. It's pretty nice. And you can buy these guys in massive bulk packs. I've got a ton of them. It comes in packs of 10 and I got 2. So I have 20 of those bottles, which I'm probably not going to use any of them anytime soon, or all of them anytime soon. But I wouldn't suggest going straight for a very expensive one right off the bat, not having any idea or feel for airbrushing, or if you even like it. There's smaller kits you can get than what I have by the same company. That's pretty easy to get into. The mask, another question in the chat is the mask made out of. The mask was sculpted of clay and casted of resin. It was done by Deadbeard Props, and you can check him out on Facebook, his page. He's got a lot of awesome stuff. There's a lot of sculpting, casting, and masks and helmets and things, so check him out on Facebook at Deadbeard Props. But yeah, just these simple airbrushes are great. You can find that on my FAQ section of my website, wmarmory.com, and then I have a list of my tools and stuff to the right. I'm constantly adding my tools to there, and they're all affiliate links to Amazon. So if you shop there, I will get a little bit of a kickback from that to help to go towards the show. So, any other questions you guys have, please throw them up in the chat, and I'll try to get to them as I can or as I see them. Alright, I'm thinking it's about time to just start going on to the hand painting and weathering of this guy to really grind it up. So I think I'm pretty much done with the base coats. I'm just going to stare at the reference image for a little bit longer, make sure. Yeah, if anything, I'll do just some dry brushing over top if I need to re-bring out some of those highlights. So let's go ahead and pop off all the tape here. Just get into the brushing. So, exciting moment! It's like Christmas! Yeah, like I said, go ahead to my website, follow that Amazon link, and the Master Series airbrush they have there. They'll have a bunch of other different sets and kits you can get. Some have fewer airbrushes, some are just the airbrush. Some come with paints, some come with DVDs. They have a ton of different setups you can do to really get your foot in the door and really start learning airbrushing. So, and it's very fun, it's rewarding. I find it to be very enjoyable, and I love just the nice smooth coat you can get. The big benefit to airbrushing as opposed to using a hand brush is you don't get any of the brush texture, which if you're trying to do a realistic prop, the last thing you want is a brush finish, because then it won't look like realistic paint or realistic weathering, because you'll see the brush strokes. So avoiding brush strokes is nice.
I think I'm going to do one of these. The first one
Adjust some of these lights over here. There we go. Oh god, that's a little bit of the camera. guys need to see that. Okay. This guy right here.
Hey there.
Always one of the most fun parts of the process is peeling the tape off and seeing all the different layers of paint working together.
Okay.
Alright, we got a little bit of a little overspray right here, but we can clean that up pretty easily. I'm just gonna peel these guys off. Those are pretty cool. Oop, just a little spot. There we go. So the base coats are on. I'm going to start doing some washes on this guy to really grime it up, bring out the high points, really define the low points of that. Cool. I got these hoses afterwards. Boom. Check it out. Okay. Now it's time to whip out the brushes. Let's see, brushes. Oh, you gotta see the movie. The movie is great. Mad Max Fury Road. Awesome film. Just non-stop action. If you're into action or just visually stunning films, I highly suggest seeing it. It is really something. I could have sworn I bought some new brushes. Where'd it go? They went nowhere, because I forgot to take them out of the packaging. Alright, so there's my brushes. So I like to have some very nice brushes for detail stuff, and then I'll have some ratty old brushes for doing like stippling, where I'm mashing the brush, or I'm dry brushing it. I don't need those brushes to stay pretty or be able to do fine lines. So. Okay. Get these brushes on again. In here. I went into the Mad Max film with very low expectations because a lot of movies, especially this year, I think have been kind of disappointing, and the past couple of years have been pretty disappointing. So Went in there thinking like, if anything, it'll be a fun, just mindless action film. And I walked out of that theater completely speechless. I thought it was just incredible. It was visually stunning. Just the cinematography, the music, how everything just lined up perfectly with the music and the action. It was just absolutely gorgeous. It was wonderful. Like there was no script. It was a lot of just emotion and visual acting. And it was just really something else. And all the so much of that was real. All the props, all the explosions. It is a really fun film. Plus, they got a video game coming out that also looks pretty sweet. I don't know, but I think Fallout 4 is gonna take the cake for me. So, fun fact, the vehicle in that movie with the giant speakers on it, those speakers are real speakers. They actually work. And that vehicle is going 70 miles an hour down the road, playing music, and really shooting flames out. Yeah, there's the whole shenanigans and it's feminist propaganda, but it's an action film with a bunch of explosions. It's a blast. I don't care what anybody says. It's a good, fun movie. Okay. Got our brushes out. Now, this area I painted silver just because I didn't feel like taping this off. I figured that'd be a pain in the butt. So I'm just going to paint that black now because that's actually supposed to be all black. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Use this Tamiya black here. Oh, I am so graceful today. So tip about brushes, I like the synthetic ones. I don't like the real one, like the horsehair, whatever ones. I find the hairs come out, or I don't like how they look. Synthetic nylon ones I think work perfectly fine. I also don't go for expensive brushes, because I know these things are going to get destroyed over time, or I have a wonderful habit of forgetting to clean crap up. So they're going to get ruined, they're going to turn to dry brush brushes or whatnot. So I just go for cheap brushes. I don't mind paying for a pack every now and then of just cheap Michaels brushes. So, I'm no brush snob. Sheep's not bad on some things. If you're using silicone or resin, you do want the good quality stuff. It depends. There's some things I won't skimp on, like a bench sander or a drill press, or scroll saw. The big tools I will not skimp on. But I don't need one that does anything fancy. You get what gets the job done. Right, now for the washes, I'm not going to use any of the Tamiya stuff or the Vallejo stuff. I've got basic acrylics. They come in much bigger containers, and I use a lot of them when I'm doing washes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those guys out now and use those for the washes. fun facts going on in the chat right now. Mr. Bad Max talking about the first Mad Max film and how a real biker gang was used and also paid with beer. I don't know exactly how accurate that is. I have heard that before, and I have seen people talk about that on YouTube, but the rumor is that he calculated out, George Miller, that it would be cheaper to pay them with beer than to actually pay them with money. So, well, unfortunately, my landlord doesn't take beer. So, I mean, that would be awesome to pay in beer. Like, how many 6-packs is your rent?
You will.
Yes.
I'll
Let's see. You'll take beer? So, can't pay the shop. Beer. I don't know, maybe I can bribe in beer. But, so anyways, they were paid with beer, and he also used them as lookouts because he didn't have filming permits for the scenes he was doing. So they would be lookouts and let him know when the cops were coming. Because the whole film, the first film, was done on an extremely low budget, with extremely cheesy effects. But it turned into a cult classic, and he ended up with more Mad Max movies, and they're awesome. Well, I mean, Thunderdome goes a little... We're not going to get into that. Mad Max Fury Road was a blast. Go see it if you haven't seen it. And this is the Immortan Joe mask from Fury Mask, sculpted by Deadbeard, and I'm doing the paint job. So let's see. We got the basics paints. Okay. So basics paints, you can get it at Michael's or any hobby store or Amazon. These guys are wonderful for just doing washes, things like that. Buy a ton of these things. Back over here. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna need some water. I'm gonna go get that. It's totally the tube, guys. It wasn't me. And that is why you don't need a jack in the box. Okay. So now I'm going to get my crappy mash tub brush here. Water. Some black and some brown. And just mash that all over. I know I'm covering the paint job I just did, but we're going to wipe this off after I get a nice coat on there, and let's see what I'm talking about. And I'm smacking the camera with my brush. use just a half and half of the black and brown. And I'm also using the Mars Black. There's actually three blacks that they carry. The Mars Black is the darkest one. That's the one I like. Ivory Black gets a little grayer, and it doesn't want to cover as well. So go with the Mars Black, and I'm using the Burnt Umber. So technical. Black and brown, half and half. Alright, got that all covered on there. Now I'm just going to take a paper towel. See, so it all goes into the recesses, and then I can kind of wash away some if it's too much. If it's too little, I can add more. If it all goes wrong, always clean it off and paint over top of it. But you know what? That's how you learn when you make mistakes. Trial and error. So one thing I should have done before I started doing this is to coat the paint underneath. So that way I don't accidentally rub this off. It's usually a good idea to do. So after I do this, I'm probably going to seal this guy before I go any further. Alright, Galestrom, take it easy. Thanks for coming in. Sometimes I just like to pat it, so that way I leave kind of a texture behind, and it doesn't leave any smears. So instead of wiping away the wash, I'll just pat it off. And I know this kind of dulls the metal, but we can go back over the high points with highlights and other ways to kind of bring that metal out again. Really kind of grimy in the recesses there. Hi Brian, thanks for coming in. Got about 30 minutes left and we get a good amount done with this guy still. And April hasn't come by and broken the stream yet. So hey, doing pretty good. You guys missed it. Last stream, April tried to show me how to do something and ended up crashing the entire stream. So they started hashtag blame April. She meant well though. Sabotage! Nice and shiny side over here, grody side. So far it seems to be doing fine. The only issues I've had was when I've tried to do, not thinking, I used oil paints, and some oil paints come with thinning solution in them already, which will eat acrylics, and it did eat acrylics, so I stripped off everything I had just worked so hard on. So that's one thing to be careful about. Always test things on a piece of scrap first. The last thing you want to do is try something you're not familiar with or without thinking, and then ruin all your hard work. Oh, sorry. Keep slamming the camera there. A very long brush. I haven't had that issue with sealer. LexFX is saying that he's had some sealers beat up with acrylic paints. So I have not had that issue yet. Now, is this when you're airbrushing, or is that when you are just hand brushing? That you've had the sealer beat up? Not the sealer, the acrylic beat up because of the sealer. Now, if you're talking about sealers for foam, I seal foam with Plastidip. I think VexFX is talking more about paint sealers, not foam sealers. Huh, no, I have not had that issue. Yep. I'm going to do a little more of a brownish wash on the metals. Maybe a little more rusty. Sorry about that. This brush has a very long tip. Alright. Now before I go much further, I want to let this dry, because I think I'm going to hit this with a sealer before I go any further. So I'm going to start working more in the bone area, and I don't want to accidentally peel any layers off here. So... Boom. Metal's looking pretty grody. And then I'll dry brush the metal. I'll highlight the edges, hit the rivets, all these points to make those pop out. Then I gotta paint these little rivets on the teeth here black. I'll do that last, and then I'll do the metal over top of them. So before I do those, though, I really want to bring out this bone in here, this metal, really grime it up. And some dry brushing, make it look a little more weathered. Okay. Thanks, guys. Alright, we got about 20 minutes left. Well, seeing as I don't have the mold here, it would cost me a lot of money because I'd have to get another one. I could probably fix it, but goal is to not drop this and break it. So. General asked if I drop this and break it on the floor, how much would it cost me in time and money? So the goal is to not drop your props. Well, if you're worried about dropping and breaking props, foam is great because it's flexible. So if you drop it, it'll just bounce. And it's also very lightweight and affordable. My nasty paint rags out of here. These shop towels are great for wiping things off. They hold up pretty well. Love these guys for doing painting. Just really get into it. Don't have to worry about little particles being left behind either. So you can get those at Lowe's in the painting section or any hardware store. They'll have the shop towels. So those are great. We always have a couple of rolls of that around. So. Alright, I don't want to start painting any more of this because there's still some wet spots. If I start going into it and painting it with the wet spots, it'll just mix and blend and smear. So, I'm going to let this guy dry a little bit. recesses there. Pat off the excess to help it dry. Any tips for resin casting? If you've never done resin casting before, I'd say start with something simple, something that's a one-part mold. So when molding, you've got brush-on molds, or big heavy molds, or matrix molds. One-part molds are very simple. They look bloody. Right. Where's my mouse? Here we go. Keep it relative. Here's the Mad Max emblem. So this is a one-part mold, meaning I sculpted this little guy out, casted him, poured the silicone in there. This is really simple to do resin casting. I did a polyurethane resin I used with this guy to cast him. So you want to put release on there, just a little bit of baby powder works fine, so that way it's easier to pop out. And then I use the polyurethane resin from Smooth On, and you can get trial sizes of that for about 20-30 bucks. Smooth Cast 300 was the one I used. You can put tint in it, so you can make it different colors. If you don't, it just comes out in a white color. But this stuff is easy to work with. I'd say start with trial sizes first, so that way when or if you mess up for your first time, you're not spending too much money. But I went all out with my first mold, and it was a huge brush-on helmet mold. It's my first sculpt ever, and it was my first mold ever. There was a lot of mistakes made, a lot of lessons learned, and it was actually the Tali helmet, which you can see in my portfolio, the Tali helmet that I have all finished up. But after that, I learned quite a bit about mold making and what not to do. So you can check that guy out on my website. And then I also have a build write-up on how I did my Star-Lord helmet on my website as well. You can check that out. And that goes a little bit over in the molding and casting section. So. I know my shopmate, Bill Duran, also shows a lot of his molding and casting stuff, so you guys check that out. His website, punishprops.com. He does a ton of videos, does a lot of molding and casting.
It's all lies!
Lies! So we got about 13 minutes left while this guy sits here and dries and bits. So he's all grimy now. I'm going to start doing dry brushes and the highlighting and kind of bring back out the high points that I want. So I need some washes on him to get in the recesses to grime it up. I'll do a couple of highlights, then I might go back and do some more washes, go back and forth until I'm happy with this guy. So I hope you all enjoyed this. Any questions, go ahead and shoot them in the chat window. I'll answer them. As many as I can before the show ends. Before I go though, I do have a Patreon, so if you like this, if you want more stuff, if you want more tips and tutorials, I do a lot of tutorial write-ups and how-tos on my website, and I post them all over my social media accounts. If you want to see more of that more frequently, go support me on Patreon. Throw a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there. You decide the amount. You can cancel at any time. If you don't want to donate but you'd like to help, you can just spread the message and get the word out there, spread the content. Any bit helps to get it out there. It is greatly appreciated, and it all goes back into the show and making the content better, more frequent, getting better gear, better software. So greatly appreciated, and thank you all for coming in and watching me learn why my airbrush wasn't working for the first 30 minutes, and for painting this guy up and working on him. So I'll do a little more on this guy and get him all painted up. And thank you guys. So more questions. How do you get around to the shrinking on a two-part mold? I haven't really had any shrinking issues. I use Rebound 25 as my silicone, and for resin I use polyurethane. I use the 65D from Smooth On or the Smooth Cast 300. Those are the two I commonly use. I've tried 325. It's hit or miss with me. I haven't been a huge fan of it. I've tried some small, like clear resins, not Smooth On, but for the gems and the strange coins that I did. But with the stuff that I've used, I haven't encountered any shrinking issues. I'm not sure. I know there are particular resins that intentionally shrink, but the stuff that I have used, I haven't had many issues or any at all. Any other questions you guys have? I don't want to drink my paint water. I almost grabbed my paint water. Alright. Let's see. I'm going to start cleaning my airbrushes then. The last 10 minutes here. Pull this guy apart. So, let's see how bad the damage is. Yeah, I always want to make sure, again, you have your finger there so these don't fly off. Is there a pain to put back in? Use my 91% here to clean this guy off. Put a little bit of cup here. So next time, the show I'll do, I'm going to try to do this every Wednesday. I've also got a page up on my website talking about the show, and I have a schedule that I'll constantly put up there and keep updated. So right now, it's definitely every Wednesday, and it might be every Friday depending on what my schedule is looking like. So check it out there, stay up to date. But Wednesdays, I think at 2 is going to be the constant, or be a definite time that I will do this show. Any horror stories from sharing the shop with Bill? No horror stories, but I definitely find little pranks or things on my stuff. Plenty of dick butts hidden around the shop. I found a penis sculpt on top of my Star-Lord. All kinds of fun things that Bill will hide over here. A lot of shenanigans. No real horror stories. So Bill's a pretty good shop mate. He keeps a pretty clean area. So, haven't had any issues yet. But a lot of shenanigans here. Nerf guns as well. I've been shot in the head with Nerf guns. I've been hit in the head with foam props. So it's just part of being in the shop here. All good fun. That's right, I caught sticker herpes on Wednesday. April, Viking Lass, was over peeling apart a bunch of vinyl stickers, and she had these little tiny stickers and was putting them all over everyone and everything. So, sticker herpes, because they don't go away. Almost as bad as glitter. Glitter, the herpes of the arts and crafts world. And if you guys don't follow her, Viking Lass, April Ness, she is also on Twitch, and she does live stream art and also video games as well. Go check her stuff out. She does pretty cool stuff, and she screams a lot while she plays scary video games. So go check her out. She likes to also come over and crash my streams. So fun stuff. Alright. Well, that was pretty easy. Oh. She's streaming right now. Go check her out. And go harass her. Blame April. Hashtag blame April. Hashtag all April's fault. Oh, I'll have to go over to her stream and give her crap now. Well, that was easy. So next time, I'll need a new air compressor. I'll also check my air compressor before I start streaming next time, so we don't have any technical difficulties. Alright guys, I think I'm going to call it there. Take it easy. Thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoyed watching me paint this guy up, and I hope I answered your questions. If you guys have any more questions, go ahead, check me out on Twitter or Facebook. All W Armor. You can find the links below on my Twitter channel here. Have a good one, guys. Take it easy.